Hi, I'm a strange person in a kigu here to talk to you about conventions. Partially kidding, Melfina here once again with a cosplayer's guide vid. These are some tips that have helped me in my nearly 13 years of going to cons. Room with people you know personally and trust. So I'm a stickler about this. I know a lot of people get along just fine rooming with people that they don't know, so for you more adventurous and gregarious types, do what works for you. I know for me personally, I've had better experiences rooming with people that I know pretty well. This actually reduces my anxiety quite a bit because I know we generally are going to have similar schedules, want similar things out of the con, and we aren't going to drive each other nuts. And honestly, I've only really had a couple of uncomfortable rooming situations. The vast majority of people I know through conventions and cosplay are excellent people. But still, rooming with people that I know personally just makes the con so much more enjoyable for me. Don't work on your unfinished costume at the con. Basically, if you have to bring your sewing machine to the hotel room with you, that's almost always a recipe for a bad time. Now, it's one thing if you just have some last-minute finishing touches that you need to hand sew, or like buttons that you need to hand sew on or something like that. Something small. But if you still have a garment to finish and seams to sew and all that, it's just better to leave the unfinished costume at home and not worry about it while you're at the con, because working on cosplay, like sewing and crafting and all that stuff, usually takes so much longer than you anticipate. And I guarantee you, if you bring it with you to the con, you're gonna miss out on fun times that you could be hanging out with friends and relaxing and just having fun. Basically, I like to set a hard goal for myself. It doesn't always end up happening this way, but I like to set a goal of finishing my costume by, at the very latest, the Monday or Tuesday of the convention week. That way I have plenty of time to focus on packing and getting organized for the convention instead of finishing my costume. And let's face it, if I still have a lot to finish on my costume by that point, it's probably not going to get done anyway. So just leave it at home. There will be another convention for you to wear it at. I know it sucks. I know it's real disappointing when you can't finish something in time, but there will always be another opportunity to wear it, so just don't do that to yourself. Don't bring your unfinished costume to the convention and think, oh, I can totally finish this in the hotel room, because that's usually just not a very good time. My third point is to arrange your travel accordingly. And by this, I mean, if you're going to a convention that's a long distance from you and requires you to fly, then I would suggest arranging your travel the day before the events at the convention start. That way, if you have a lot of things planned for the Friday, per se, you don't have to rearrange your plans if and when your flight gets delayed. And I mean, when are flights not delayed? I mean, it happens so frequently, and you can never really guarantee being on time anymore with flights. Know the con's prop and weapons policy. Now, this might seem like a real no-brainer, but if you're planning on bringing a large prop or realistic-looking weapon to the con, it's just best to know what your limitations are. The last thing you want to happen is to be accosted by con security and kicked out. Minimize your time outside and walking around in general. This will save a lot of wear and tear on your costumes. Now, staying at the con hotel is usually the best option for this, but sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes conventions are held in convention centers and there's not a hotel attached, so sometimes you really can't avoid walking outside in costume. But when it's an option, definitely seize that option. The less time you're outside and walking around in the elements means there's less of a chance for your costume to get messed up, stuff to break off, the wind to mess up your wig. And I know I absolutely hate it when I have to walk outside and it's windy, and the moment you step foot inside the convention center, you end up having to go to the bathroom to rearrange your wig, fix your wig, and all that. Oh, dreaded con-crud. While there's no way to 100% guarantee you won't come down with something after the con, there are ways to lessen your chances of getting sick. Load up on vitamins, supplements, emergency before the con. I like to start taking emergency a week before the con. And finally, definitely bring hand sanitizer with you to the convention. This way, if you can't get a sink to wash your hands before you eat or after touching something that's likely been touched by a million other germy people, you can at least use that hand sanitizer and kill some of the germs. I feel like this one should not have to be said, but you'd be surprised how many people I encounter who don't do this. Eat and drink regularly. I know food can be expensive at conventions, because they kind of have you as a captive audience, but if you can't or you don't want to spend the money on expensive convention food, or the options that are right around the convention, bring snacks for your room. You can usually eat breakfast this way and at least not have to pay a ton of money to go to a restaurant and eat breakfast by bringing non-messy food items to your room. My favorite things to bring are muffins, croissants, instant oatmeal, and granola-y things. And if your room has a fridge, that's even better because then you can bring lunch meats and you can make sandwiches and whatever else that needs to be refrigerated. Scope out the dealer's room first and then make your purchases after you've had a chance to look around. You'll often find more than one vendor selling the same thing, so obviously you want to get the best price that you can. So obviously you'll want to get that figure art book for the best price that you can. Waiting until Sunday doesn't necessarily guarantee you'll get a better price or a better deal. Most of these dealers just pack up their inventory and use it for another con anyway, so there's no real rush for them to sell out of anything in particular. There is the chance of something being snatched up and sold out if you wait too long. And now, photo etiquette for both cosplayers and photographers. Cosplayers, try not to stop in the middle of a crowded area or a crowded hallway if someone asks you for a picture. Also, try to avoid the dealer's room if you're in a big or intensive costume. It's usually really crowded and congested, and people are just trying to get from point A to point B in the dealer's room, so it's just better to wear your big costumes out on the con floor, in the open areas, or to photo shoots, or to the costume contest, and not bring that drama inside the dealer's room. Photographers. Most of the time, cosplayers will be more than happy to stop for a picture for you if you ask politely. But please don't ask someone for a picture if they're obviously tired and sitting down, or if they're eating something. The last thing a cosplayer wants is to be disrupted during their meal, or even worse, to have someone take a picture of them while they're stuffing their face. Super unflattering. So those are the top things that have really improved my convention experiences. I might make more videos in the future covering certain aspects of conventions more in depth. Certainly let me know if you have any suggestions or any burning questions that you would like answered in a video. As always, subscribe to my channel for more cosplay and anime content, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck at your next con!